Konbanwa, Alec here, and we are at it again. This video marks the 6 weeks of AJATT progress video. Now this video is very important because this is the first video that I'm actually going to go through the tangible numbers that I have in my AJATT decks. I'm gonna just quickly go through what decks I'm actually using for my card making process. I'll have individual videos in relation to each one of those specifically a little later on, but this is just a complete overview of where I sit after 6 months. Now, this video is strictly for sentence cards, not RTK. So I'm gonna have a separate video series on RTK, how long it took me to do RTK, what I liked, what I disliked, etc., etc. So this is simply only monolingual translation cards, Japanese to Japanese. Now, just real quick, I had a lot of experience with Japanese going into AJATT. So I went straight into monolingual sentences. I did not do, Japanese on the front, English on the back, do 500 to 2000 and then switch all of them to Japanese. I went straight into Japanese. I'll have a video on that as well, but this is just pure Japanese to Japanese cards. So let's get it. So now, my cards are actually broken down into 4 main decks. I actually have 5 decks that I go through. One of them is RTK because I still rep those every single day. So we're just gonna take that out of the equation for now and focus on these 4 main decks. So the first one is the anime 7 Deadly Sins. So I am using subs to SRS to make flashcards for the whole entire anime series. Hopefully, by then, once I finish, I can then watch the whole series without subtitles or, without English and understand fully what's going on. But that 7 Deadly Sins deck, in terms of episodes, it has the whole first episode translated. And it has currently half, or I think 1/3 of episode 2. I average about 36 minutes per day on this deck. Now this is with adding 10 to 20 cards, or doing 10 to 20 new cards per day. That deck totals roughly 310 cards. Now on the screen, of course, you see the suspended / buried. That's just ones that I haven't translated yet. So when you do subs to SRS, it just puts them in there. You just suspend them and come back to them later. So first one, 7 Deadly Sins, and we're at roughly, let's just use round numbers, we're at 300. Now, the next deck is my Japanese rap. Now, just a very quick side story. I go to the gym a lot. I love working out, but I cannot work out unless I'm listening to metal. Now, metal is, there is Japanese metal, but let's face it, nobody can understand what they're saying when it's just brah, brah, brah. So, the next best thing for me to work out to is rap. So I made the decision, I love Japanese rap music, I love trap music that's slower and more repetitive, so why don't I make a deck that's dedicated to learning how to actually rap the songs? That way when I'm at the gym, I can actually get into the music and sing along with the music and get motivated to work out, as opposed to just hearing some random jibber jabber that I don't understand. So this deck is definitely the quickest deck of them all, and simply because I know the song, but it currently has 51 cards in it. And all 51 cards is the whole entire song, If I Die Tonight by Ko. So each one of the cards, I have the audio clip to match the actual card. So as I'm going through it, I can actually hear the beat and hear how it's being rapped so that I can mimic that, so that I can actually sing along. Because if you don't do that and you try to do something like rap, it's going to be very hard to follow because of the way that they space out the words, the way that they pronounce the words, because it's not typical Japanese. So 7 Deadly Sins, we got 300. Japanese rap, we got 50. So we're at 350. All right, so then the next deck that I have is actually to the RPG Rurouni Kenshin, the Romancing Saga, Swordsman, whatever. But anyway, as you can see behind me, I have a ton of video games, and I actually got into Japanese to play JRPGs in Japanese, which I'll get to in another video as well. But I wanted to play Rurouni Kenshin through with knowing 100% of what's going on. So I've actually played this game in the past and beat it, all in Japanese. But what you realize is that when you're playing something that has a start and a finish, and you can actually visually see what you're doing, it's very easy to guess what's going on, whether or not that's true or not. And I found that although I completed it, for the longest time I was like, man, I'm awesome. I beat this game. I obviously know Japanese. I probably understood about 20% of it. Now, granted, 20% of it did include directions, so I was able to get from start to finish without talking to every single person. But I wanted to go from start to finish and understand completely what's going on. So I have this Rurouni Kenshin complete guide like they used to use in the old days. So I'm actually going line by line in this whole entire walkthrough and translating every line so that I know exactly what's going on. I'm going to go in depth on this in another video because I'm actually going to provide the scans if anyone wants them. But the Rurouni Kenshin deck is a little harder because you have to type every single line out. The good thing about using Calibri and all that stuff is you can copy and paste, and your phone does a good job of Google Translate to read the text and put it into text, but it's just very inconvenient to use your phone, and I haven't found a good computer program that works. So this deck is a little slower, but nonetheless. So the Rurouni Kenshin deck is at 71 cards. 71 cards. And this is not just the actual game itself, this is everything. So table of contents is translated, the family tree is translated, pretty much everything, because I wanted to get the full story of what's going on. So when I play the game, not only do I understand how to play it and how to get from start to finish, but I can just know who every character is, what their relationship is, etc., so that I can just go through the game without much hassle, but also enjoy it knowing 100% of what's going on. Now, with that, my average study time on that is 22 minutes. A lot of the stuff in this particular deck is names, like Himura Kenshin. You're not going to see that anywhere, so the kanji is kind of hard to decipher sometimes, especially because a lot of the names don't equate to the RTK equivalent. So I spend 22 minutes a day on that, 71 cards, so we're at roughly 400 and some change. Now the last deck is the main deck that I use, which I have labeled the I Know deck. Now, the only reason why it's called I Know is the very first sentence I got was from I Know. And I used Katsumoto's original idea of sentence diving down till you get to the bottom and then going back up with the definition so that you theoretically should know 100% of what's going on. So what that means is I went on I Know because I have I Know, and the first sentence that popped up had the word Shonikawa in it, which just means pediatrics. But I didn't remember that at the time, so I looked up the definition of shonika, and next thing you know, that definition had words I didn't know, so I made, that sentence as a card with those definitions and so on and so forth, and that has gone all the way currently to roughly 700 cards. And it's gonna keep going. I'll probably do this for the thousands. Now, this is definitely the main deck that I use in terms of time. As you can see, it takes me about an hour and a half, a little under an hour and a half on average to complete this deck. So my reviews of this deck usually are like 120 to 140 cards per day. And on this, I do roughly 10 to 20 new cards a day, depending on the circumstance. But that is the main deck, like I said. Main vocabulary is there, etc. But that's 700, so roughly we're at roughly 1,100 cards. I'll actually have what the exact number is if you want to see it, but that is where we stand after 6 weeks. So like I said, I'm gonna plan on doing weekly or at least every other week updates of the actual card numbers so you can see the actual progression. So that's it. This is it. This is that the 6-week update. Hope you like, comment, like, subscribe, do your thing, but let's get it together and let's keep going for that 10,000K, baby. Woo!